Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Elite, the Elite Count. I'm War Machine MJ, and I'm here today to talk about the last Dynamite, Wednesday night Dynamite that is, before All Out. I'm sorry, Double or Nothing, my bad. Got my wires crossed. Anyway, yes, this is the last, well, recording this on the Monday before Double or Nothing, so last week was the last Wednesday before was the last Wednesday night Dynamite before Double or Nothing, with the go home to Double or Nothing taking place this Friday after SmackDown, but it's still on TNT. It's like as soon as SmackDown ends, boom, Friday night Dynamite. Anyway, let's go ahead and kick off the show, because in this episode of AEW Dynamite, they went through the full. Well, they ran down the entirety of the Double or Nothing card, which I'll get to that after the recap of the episode. So, kicked off the show in standard AEW fashion with the match: Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal. Now, last week on. No, go away. I got my computer hard. Anyway, last week on Dynamite, Christian had said that he had an open contract for whoever wants to step in the ring and face him. He was hoping one of the guys from Team Taz would answer that call, because he and Team Taz have been having some beef as of late. But no, it was none other than Matt Sydal. Now, if you've done your homework, you'll know that these two have crossed paths before in WWE, with Christian and Matt Sydal going under the name Evan Bourne. But this was a good back and forth match between two competitors. The finish came when Matt Sydal goes for a shooting star. Well, goes for a standing moonsault. Sorry. Christian gets his knees up, and while Sydal is getting his air back, Christian hits the kill switch 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Ricky Starks with that drip comes sauntering out and says he's his own man. He's going to be front and center, and he calls for the rest of Team Taz to jump Cage, which Brian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs, and of course Taz's son Hook, jump Christian from behind. They beat down both Christian and Matt Sydal, with Hangman Page just casually strolling out there, hands his spear to Ricky Starks, and then joins the fray. But the tide is quickly turned as Brian Cage just viciously powerbombed Hangman Page, with Ricky Starks looking on. Of course, Ricky Starks is out with injury. So next there was a backstage segment with the Varsity Blondes, of course, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. He talked. Pillman Jr. talked about how his father's legacy and the circumstances around his unfortunateness didn't lead Junior to the wrestling biz. It kept him away. But what brought him into the wrestling biz was the Young Bucks. Was the Young Bucks. And Griff Garrison recalls that that he once ran the merch stand for the Young Bucks, a couple of years ago, and now here they are with here they are in the main event against the Young Bucks for the AEW tag team titles. Of course, the Varsity Blondes are not without their cheerleader in Julia Hart. Next, there was a John Moxley and Eddie Kingston promo where that there was a part that they flubbed because they flash cut it, but it's hilarious stuff on them. You know, it's their hilarious banter that they've been doing as of late, saying that they're making a dent in the tag team division by competing on AEW Dynamite, Dark Elevation on Monday nights, and AEW Dark on Tuesday nights, which it was either last week or 2 weeks ago on Dark. They just had a don't get paid by the hour squash victory. They didn't even give the poor bastards a chance, but they kind of dismissed the Acclaim, their opponents for the night, by just reducing them to rappers and the friend of a rapper. But yeah. Next, we had a promo from the Acclaimed talking about how they're gonna take out Mox and Kingston, and mic drop, boom. It was a short, sweet little promo. Next, we had Moxley and Kingston versus the Acclaimed. Of course, Max Caster comes out. He starts spitting raps. Just throwing shade. He also throws a good line. This one particularly targeting Moxley. He said, "Your wife's all up in my DMs looking to get me in on some oral sessions." And everybody's like, "Ooh," and you see Moxley just go, "All right, that's it. I'm going to kill him." And then Anthony Bowens just pipes up, "What? That's the name of the podcast." But it was a good one. And when Anthony Bowens goes to do, AEW, the Claim have arrived, he gets jumped before he can even finish saying the brand. But yeah, this was a great back and forth match between these two teams. The finish came when when the referee is distracted and Max Caster throws the platinum chain to Anthony Bowens. Bowens is bowing up to clock Kingston when the referee catches it, and Max Caster was picked up his boomboxes was going to clock Kingston until Mox grabbed it, smacked Caster with it, and hit Bowens with a paradigm shift for the 1-2-3. Well, it was a wheelbarrow paradigm shift. So yeah, Kingston and Moxley get the dub. Next, we had a backstage segment where Alex Marvez tries to interview Chris Jericho talking with the one and only the Iceman, Dean Malenko. Of course, he tries to get Jericho's mindset on being challenged to a Stadium Stampede match at Double or Nothing, but Jericho told him he's got to wait, and then he threatens him with the Man of 1,000 Holds, of course, Dean Malenko's old moniker. And Malenko just casually says, "Yeah, but you know 4 more than me." Jericho goes, "Yeah, but I forgot him." Of course, going back to that classic promo from Chris Jericho back in WCW, the Man of 1,004 Holds. That's a great promo. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's fantastic. Next, we had an in-ring interview with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, who are, of course, interviewed by Shivani. Scorpio Sky, says, "Oh, I used to look up to Sting. Sting was my guy. He was my everything." But then he became, he got old, so now he's not the man he used to be. Sky's a grown man, and he tells Sting to step aside or be put down. Of course, Ethan Page then chimes in and says they already put Sting down, and then, talks about the ambushes that they've done over the past number of weeks on Sting and Darby. And of course, Darby Allin and Ethan Page have some history back on the indie scene, and he threatens to put the nail in Darby Allin's coffin. Sting's music hits, and while Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky were dealing with Sting, Darby Allin, Darby Allin jumps Paige and Sky and Sting joins in on the fray. And of course, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, they get to step in, and as they're making their way up the ramp, they're of course blocked off by the Dark Order. Of course, then they've got to find another way around. Next, we had the Pinnacle at the dinner table, where we come in and Wardlow is just downing an entire bottle of wine, just chugging it, chug-a-lug. He chugs a lug, then he just breaks the bottle and just yells out, "I want another one." Then Sean Spears just, "Yeah, I'll have another drink too, please." Then MJF just mocks Chris Jericho's juvenile humor, saying, "Oh, my jerk off friend," or whatever. And they basically send a warning to the inner circle that they're going to break them up after Stadium Stampede, to which the mood got killed completely as Sean Spears grabs the server by the neck and slams his head into the table and says, "I want my drink," and lets him go. And then they end the promo with, "When you're in the Pinnacle, you're always on top." Phrasing. Next, we had Rebel, Britt Baker's right-hand lady, taking on Hikaru Shida. Kind of a one-sided affair. Hikaru Shida gets the victory over Rebel, no problem. During the match, Shida, as a giant middle finger to Britt Baker, hits the lockjaw. Afterwards, Britt Baker and Rebel put the boots to Shida, including Britt hitting a curb stomp, driving Shida's face into the women's title. Of course, they've got their showdown at Double or Nothing. And next, we had video from last week where Kenny Omega and Don Callis confront Orange Cassidy in the trainer's room. Of course, Orange Cassidy got knocked stupid last week with a vicious powerball. But the meat of this is basically Don Callis and Kenny Omega is pitching Orange Cassidy a way out of this triple threat match. They hand him a contract, and Orange Cassidy just slowly tears it up. And then, Kenny and Callis make the hard sell, and they hand him one more copy and just say, "Hey, sleep on it. Just think about it, sleep on it." Next, we had the Inner Circle replying to the challenge that was made last week. And it was a long, lengthy promo, but to save you the trouble, it's just everybody speaking their mind with passion and intensity. It was a great promo. Words cannot do it justice, and I don't feel like regurgitating everything they said. Next, we had a backstage promo where Tony Schiavone is interviewing Jade Cargill. He asked once more about her free agency, and before she could pose a response, Mark Sterling, who'd been making his intentions known to sign Jade Cargill, says, he doesn't want her to work for him. He wants to work for her. Not, need to give me a drink after this video is over with. Jade shuts him down and says, if you'll go away, she'll think about it. And frankly speaking, I hope they do big things with Jade Cargill because she looks like $1,000,000. She's got the look down. There's still time to work on her ring skills. Her couple of matches have been, have been praiseworthy. She's definitely going places, but she just needs some more polish, and she'll be right as rain. Next, we had next was a match for the NWA Women's World Championship as champion Serena Deeb took on Red Velvet. As far as as soon as the bell kicked off, Serena Deeb was right on top of Red Velvet, and we were off to the races. This was a slap banger of a match. These two ladies go ahead and giving it their all, just right out the gate, right to the races. The finish came when Serena Deeb locked in the Serenity Lock on Red Velvet's knee that got worked over during the course of the match. Red Velvet bust out of that, and then Serena Deeb went right back to the Serenity Lock after hammering the knee a couple more times, and Red Velvet had no choice but to tap. So Serena Deeb is still the NWA Women's Champion. Next, we had an interview with Pac, where he says he's tired of getting robbed by the company, and he asks Marvez, double or nothing, who bets against the bastard? I mean, you always bet on Omega. Right now there are two hot hands, and that's Kenny Omega and Roman Reigns. You always bet on them. Next, we had Austin Gunn of the Nightmare Family, of course, with Arn Anderson and Cody Rhodes, taking on Anthony Ogogo with the Factory, which is QT Marshall's faction. To call this a match would be generous. As Austin Gunn, he comes out the gate hot. He gets one or two moves in, but all it takes is for Anthony Ogogo to just slam that fist right into Austin Gunn's gut several times, and Anthony Ogogo wins by referee stoppage. After the match, Cody, who had an American flag with him, left it on the ring ropes as he tended to Austin Gunn. Anthony Ogogo snatched up, tossed it, and Cody had to look like a clown just to catch it. And there was a standoff between the Factory and the Nightmare Family, but nothing came of it. And sidebar, I really want Anthony Ogogo to rock Cody's block, because this Cody Rhodes is obnoxious, especially that long-winded American-ass dribble from last week was just, ugh. And now he wants to, for one night only, call himself the American Dream as an homage to his daddy. That's rotten. It's rotten. Next, we had Alex Marvez backstage with Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, the former SCU. Of course, they got, their tag team got broken up after their loss to the Young Bucks last week. And Marvez just basically asked the question, what's next? Christopher Daniels, he walks over, whispers something in Kazarian's ear, and just walks off. And Kazarian essentially declares himself the Elite Hunter. Like Bullet Club Hunter, but he's Elite Hunter. He's coming after every member of the Elite. Next, we had words from the new TNT champion, of course, Miro. Just absolutely destroyed Darby Allin last week to become the new TNT champion. Of course, we got words from him. His opening line to this was just great because he says he thanks Jesus Christ for protecting him, and he thanks Jesus Christ for giving him strength and power to dominate. Just slap bang right out the gate. I'm not one for, religious stuff, but I liked it. I liked it. It was pretty good. And basically, he basically said, Darby underestimated him, and Miro made an example of him, but it's okay. He forgives him. Now he can stay at home and make his silly little student videos, and nobody's going to stop him. And Miro said he's going to defend his TNT championship next Friday, but then he was or this coming Friday, but then he was interrupted by Lance Archer. And he says how, Lance Archer says how he walked out of Double or Nothing, coming up short in that in the finals of the TNT title tournament at last year's Double or Nothing, but he's not going to walk out of Double or Nothing the same way, and he's going to make Miro a Bulgarian bitch, or make him his Bulgarian bitch. But and Miro had this great closing line. He says, he talks some shit about Jake Roberts and threatens to put him down. And Miro agrees with Lance Archer that everybody dies, but he insists that Lance Archer be first. And it's a great way to close it out. And then at the end of the show, they announced that Dante Martin of Top Flight would be Miro's opponent on Friday's show for the TNT Championship. Anyway, too far. Sorry, I'm reading off the notes here. Next, we had an absolute slap banger of a AEW Tag Team Championship match, as the Young Bucks defended their Tag Team Championship against the Varsity Blondes. And this was the tale of this match was basically the Young Bucks being the absolute best tag team in the world, was running circles around Garrison and Pillman. And Garrison and Pillman, all they had going for them was heart, kicking out of all the Bucks' big moves, all, just powering through everything. Towards the finish was just a hell of a lot of shenanigans, including spray can, as Matt Jackson sprayed Pillman in the face. Was going to do it again until Julia Hart basically, informed the referee what's going on. And then once the referee had his back turned once again, Matt gets another can of cold spray, sprays it right in Julia Hart's face, and then sprays another dose in Pillman's face. Hits a sharpshooter, and while Brian Pillman is writhing in pain, here comes Nick Jackson hitting an X Factor right to Pillman, forcing Pillman to tap. So, Young Bucks are still the AEW Tag Team Champions. And, they started celebrating with the rest of the Elite until Mox and Kingston hit the scene. They laid out the Young Bucks. and then stole their expensive ass shoes and their socks. But yeah, Kingston and Mox got the last laugh ahead of Friday's Dynamite. So before we get to the Double or Nothing card, just quick announcement for AEW. It was revealed last week that Dynamite will be moving to TBS, and there are no plans to redesign the TNT Championship. Though there are some plans in the works. Don't know what they are yet. Tony Khan being a very sneaky boy. But yeah, the other big news is there's going to be another show for Dynamite called Rampage. AEW Rampage. And no, it doesn't feature Rampage Brown. So, more to come on that. Now, for Double or Nothing 2021, we have the Casino Battle Royal for a future AEW World Championship shot. Just a quick rundown of who's in it. We've got Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Penta El Zero, Jungle Boy, Matt Hardy, Mark Quinn, Isaiah Cassidy, The Blade, Evil Uno, Colt Cabana, Preston Vance, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, QT Marshall, Nick Camarado, Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, and more to come. Next, we've got Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage. Miro versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship. The Pinnacle, in its entirety, versus the Inner Circle in a Stadium Stampede match. And if the Inner Circle lose, they are disbanded. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page taking on Sting and Darby Allin in a tag team match. The Young Bucks will defend their AEW Tag Team Championship against Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Next, Cody Rhodes will take on Anthony Ogogo, of course, with their respective families in the corner. Next, for the AEW Women's World Championship, Hikaru Shida will take on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And finally, for the AEW World Championship, we have Kenny Omega defending against Orange Cassidy and Pac. It's going to be a stacked show. Stacked show. So, that being said, I'm your third place champion as of WrestleMania Backlash, hoping to become first place champion. Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah. And I am your third place champion, War Machine MJ, and I will see you guys next time.